Now, how do we keep it open? That's also part of the question. Just through a lot of hard work, pretty much, and a lot of help. We have a lot of volunteers who help us out daily, who come in and work with the youth. We have wonderful staff who is very, I don't know how else to say it, they're just great. They're just great. They work really hard and are not compensated nearly enough for the work that they do, but they still do it, and they do it very cheerfully, and they really make a wonderful contribution. But like I said, if we're still thinking about this idea of a staircase, and we take that first step and then we keep climbing up and up, well, everyone probably understands that the higher you go, the more you can see. And pretty much that's been my experience, after taking that first step, which felt a little risky, actually, what has ended up happening, and not just for me, is that I have been able to really, really open my horizon. My entire world has expanded, and I can see so much more. I see so much more of the world. I have met so many people, even just having this opportunity to come and meet all of you, has been really wonderful. And so the drop-in center is not just for the youth. It's also for me. It's for George. It's for the volunteers who come there. There's one volunteer at Christmas time. She had a friend who was suffering from cancer. She had another family member who was in the hospital. All around her at Christmas time, there was so much suffering, so much sadness. And she said that coming to the drop-in center made her feel like it was really Christmas. Because at least when she came to the drop-in center, she saw some good happening. And the rest of her life, at that moment, she just couldn't see it. There was too much suffering. So the drop-in center, yes, it's for the youth, but they're not the only ones who benefit from it. We all benefit. The volunteers, George and I are the coordinators, the staff, the neighborhood benefits from it. That area of Wyandotte suffers from a lot of empty storefronts, but we've filled one of those storefronts in a very vibrant way. We're providing an income for our landlord. There's all kinds of ways that the entire community benefits from this place. And the main thing that I've been able to see as I look out from this sort of vantage point that is getting higher and higher is that truly, God is everywhere. And if that's the one thing that I can communicate today before I go, is that being involved with the drop-in center has shown me that God is absolutely everywhere. Again, at Christmas time, we had a young man who had a foster father who gave him a new iPod, and this was a huge deal for him. And for whatever reason, it was either stolen or lost, but it was gone. And he realized this halfway through the evening, right after Christmas at the drop-in center. We were full of kids. Everyone stopped what they were doing, had a huge search around, and he was very, very distraught. Not only was he upset about the loss, but his foster father had given it to him and trusted him with this valuable thing, and he felt like he had let down his foster father. Well, one of the young people at the center, who also does not have a lot of money, saw how much this meant to him, and out of her pocket took her iPod and gave it to him. And she said, "You know what? I don't need this as much as you do. Here." Just like that. That was it. And these are kids who don't have the means to replace that kind of thing, So when she gave that, she gave it completely, knowing that she wouldn't get one, So these are the kinds of things. That's just one small instance of all the things that happen. I could give you another example. One day we were there, and there was a teacher from a high school in Windsor came through with his young daughter, and he said, "Hi, we got some stuff in the car." Okay, so we got a bunch of people, and there were boxes and boxes of donations of food. And that was great. That happens occasionally, and we're always grateful, and I said, "Thank you very much." and he said his daughter, who had turned, I think, 8, had just turned 8, and instead of asking for presents for herself for her birthday, because she knew about the drop-in center, had asked that they spend that money on groceries for the kids at the center. And they were delivering those groceries, and she came with them to do that. That is yet another example of just God is everywhere. And we don't even expect it. Someone as young as that could have that kind of understanding that when we give from the heart, it's a really, really good feeling, and maybe even a better feeling than getting something for ourselves. And I'll give you one more example. Just yesterday, actually, this is what I did yesterday on my Saturday. There's a young woman who is from Sault Ste. Marie, and she came to Windsor a little while ago on her own. She was 15. She's now 16, almost 17, and didn't have a very good time in Windsor, ended up homeless, maybe getting involved in some things that she shouldn't have been involved in, ended up at our center a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so. And just yesterday, I met her downtown at the bus station because she decided, after all of her difficulties and adventures and lessons that she learned here, that actually what was best for her was to start thinking about her future, go home, go back to school, get her grade 12, get a job, be a productive citizen, all the stuff that maybe we all would like to do. And she came up with that on her own. So what we did at the center was we managed to find somebody, an anonymous donation, to help her out with that bus ticket. And I met her downtown. We had arranged 5 o'clock, I'll meet you at the bus station and we'll buy the ticket. She got there before me, and I walked up to the bus station and she came out the door, and she said, I didn't think you were going to make it. Or she said, I didn't think you were going to come. Sometimes just even showing up is enough, She was grateful that I was just there, that I made it there when I said I was going to be there, We did get her a bus ticket, and she did go home. And before she went home, she managed to write us out a thank you letter that had the words thank you written about 10 times. And every sentence was, and I really want to thank you because blah, blah, blah. So thank you very much for blah, blah, blah. It just so much gratitude, So really, I feel very blessed because every day, especially since opening this drop-in center, I have evidence. That people are good and that God is in them and working in them. And so I feel very fortunate for that. And I would love to be able to, share that. And I'm sure probably a lot of you already know that feeling, because I know a lot of you already, especially in terms of what happened last night, make contributions. But this is an especially wonderful thing because it happens every day and in some of the most unexpected ways. Of course, all of this good stuff is wonderful and it happens and it's great. But as we know, with everything, with all kinds of mobility, with all kinds of progress, we need some sort of infrastructure to make that happen. The drop-in center is an actual place. The infrastructure is the place, the kitchen, the tables, the chairs. Keeping that place open does require resources. Does absolutely require resources. And when George and I were working with the Faith in Action Committee and trying to talk to other congregations about being able to support a project like this financially, I was asked to come and speak to the board of directors or the board meeting at Roseland Trinity? And we were talking about the center, and there was a lot of focus on, well, how are we going to find the money? How is this going to happen? How are we going to, get enough funds? And one of the gentlemen there, I will never forget, he just said, well, what God orders up, he pays for. And I have to say that has been true. That has absolutely been true. We have managed to find the money that we needed to keep this place open for 6 months. I'm happy to say that I don't foresee any huge problems before the end of the year. Again, it is proof that God does pay for what he orders up. I have found myself, over the last little while, in the position of being the one to sort of hand out the bills, though, to people, because God pays for stuff, but he pays for it through us, through our service, through our donations, through all of that. And so I've found that I've been in the role of telling people about that. And it's not one that comes easily, but when I think of these young people that I see regularly, when I see the wonderful things that they do with the very few resources that are offered to them at the center. We have a young gentleman who within 2 months got a full-time job and has been working regularly. Another young man just went for a job interview. A young woman has just started college again. These are all things that have happened within just 6 months. We have people doing homework there, which wasn't happening even a month ago. So these are kids who are really, really grasping onto the very few resources that we're able to offer and doing something with it. Absolutely doing something with it. And this has been the pattern from the beginning. Basically, if we were to take a look at what does it cost to run a drop-in center for youth in Windsor? What's the cost? Well, basically, George and I kind of added it up. We're looking at $200,000. What are we actually spending? What are we actually spending to run this place? Just about $48,000 a year. Not $200,000, just $48,000. That's a quarter of what it should cost us. A quarter. I don't know a single corporation, a single government, a single company that runs so efficiently. And that is honestly because I believe in my heart that what God orders up, he pays for. And there are volunteers who spend 5 hours a week, sometimes more, of their time, and they come. We have 140 volunteer hours a week at the drop-in center. George and I, as coordinators, have donated our time, and we are coordinators in an unpaid capacity for the first year because we wanted to see this place go. That makes a difference, There are so many people who bring by food, prepared food, canned food. There's so much help out there that, honestly, again, like I said, if there's only one message I could leave or communicate is that in my experience, this drop-in center has shown me God is everywhere. And he absolutely makes sure that people are provided for as long as we are facing the truth and as long as we are acting on that truth. I'm free to answer questions and tell you lots more downstairs at lunchtime. I'll be available. But I'm going to stop now, because if I don't, I will go on for literally hours and hours with stories about the drop-in center. But I do want to thank you very much for your time. I want to thank you for your attention. I want to thank you for everything that you've already offered to these young people, because essentially this is our community. Windsor is our community. Everything that happens in this community, we have some sort of power to decide if it's a good thing that happens or not a good thing that happens. And I know that a lot of people in this room have decided that they want to make sure that it's good things that are happening. So I really want to thank you very much, and Minister, and I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you.
Now, Tamara, before you go too far, I have a question for you. I understand that you do have a charitable number, right, that you are accessing to. So if you do want to give directly to that center, you can write out a check and you will get a charitable receipt for it, all right, just so that you know. Okay, that's always really important for people to know. And thank you so much for sharing, because that's amazing. Did you know all that about the youth center? No. Good information. And